Okay, so I just completed my second playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3, and wow, did I miss a lot of stuff. I missed a ridiculous amount of stuff. Like, one of the things I didn't do on my first two characters was go through the mountain pass, because eventually, when going through the Underdark to the Shadowlands, I went to the I went to the mountain pass from the Shadowlands, but for some reason, it just took me to the bridge where you find the Githyanki, and where they burn the bridge and kill the mercenaries or whatever. It just took me straight there, and so I never bothered going back that way, because I thought, oh, okay, it's just like a different way of going into the Shadowlands. It's just earlier on, I guess, like an earlier way of getting there. But because I didn't go there first, and if you do, you go, you can enter an entirely different area that I just completely missed because I never went there before. You can also get there through the Goblin Camp, which I think I saw that entrance and I just never bothered going through it because I just wanted to focus on clearing out the Goblin Camp. I think that was during my first playthrough. So yeah, I just completely missed that entire area and the entire quest lines involved in that place. So that was crazy. I finally figured out what to do with the Susur tree bark because I just explored around and eventually I found in the Blighted Village the forge that's like underneath one of the houses, and it said, "Hey, you need Susur bark for this, forge to make a weapon." And I was like, "Okay, well, I know where to get that," and so I did, and I crafted the weapon, and it was kind of cool. The weapon kind of sucked for where I was in the game, but you know, it had its uses. It could apply silence, so it was pretty useful against like mages or whatnot. So definitely not terrible, but I was hoping for a little bit more, considering how easy it was to miss. I also missed another place. I missed several places in the Blighted Village. Yeah, so that was kind of interesting to see just how much was there that was hidden. Yeah, so I was genuinely surprised with that. Yeah, I tried doing like a lot of the quest lines that I missed or just didn't do or took a different path, right? And so that was kind of what I decided to do. And I happened to choose monk because honestly, the thing that made me choose monk was the Githyanki warriors in the astral prism, because they just used their fists for the most part, and they were doing a lot of damage to me. And so that just made me want to play monk and be like, hey, I want to see how far I can push this and see how far the damage can get, because these guys seem to be fucking me up pretty good with just their fists. So I definitely was interested in trying a monk out from that point on. So that's basically what I did. And it's honestly, monk was a lot better than I was expecting it to be, and it was a lot more fun as well, because I thought, well, how fun is this really going to be? Is it going to be like really just kind of limited using just your fists? But it was really fun. Monk has a it has a stun, it has a knockdown, it has a knockback, it has a stagger so enemies can't use reactions, and it also has key resonation, which basically it's like a landmine, I guess. Basically, you hit an enemy, and it applies key resonation, and then you can hit multiple different enemies with key resonation, and then use your key blast to basically detonate those and deal damage to all of the enemies that are within its radius. So that one is pretty crazy, and if you're grouped up with like a lot of low health enemies. It's pretty useful for dispatching them. Like, one of the places where I found key resonation really useful was when you're doing Astarian's questline and you're at the end. There's a bunch of fucking bats like everywhere, and key resonation was pretty good for getting rid of those. So, you know, there's a lot of places where, there's just a swarm of certain like lower health enemies, and you don't really want to waste magic on getting rid of them. So, like a spell slot or whatever. So I found key resonation to be pretty good at doing that. But even then, against bosses, it was also really strong because if your stun connects, you stun the boss and you basically just go to town on them with all your characters, and then when the stun ends, you could just try applying it again or knock them prone. You know, it's also really fun to just knock enemies off the map as well. That's something that's really fun. The final boss in Astarian's questline, you can just easily kill by just knocking him off the map. It's so incredibly easy. Like, you don't even need to fight him at all. Because he always goes to one of the edges, either on the left or right of the arena, and if you have a certain weapon, you can basically force him back into his human form because he turns into like mist. If you have a certain weapon from a quest line that I didn't do because it was in the area that I missed, basically turn him into his human form and then just knock him off the map and kill him like extremely easily. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, anyway, that's pretty much all that I wanted to say with regards to my second playthrough. Well, I'm not going into detail about any of the stuff that I missed or all the things that I did because it's something that I think people should experience by themselves. And I wouldn't want to take that experience away from anyone, even though the game has been out for such a long time. I feel like there still are people like me who try to avoid looking things up and explore the game at their own pace and that kind of thing. But anyway, that's all.